Fall at Equestria, The Crystal's Howling Dance. By Megaskullmon. Read by Forrest M. Chapter 18. The Broken.
Forming trade in a world so long dead is not easy, but it can help.
Day 57, Manhattan. I looked to Shadow. He and I walked into Manhattan, and we noticed that a lot of Enclave were still around, even if most of them left. I looked to Shadow, and I followed him as we snuck through the parts of Manhattan to get to friends of his. He leads me to a building that seems to be left alone. I went inside with him, and there were griffins and ponies here. They seem to have an underground market here. Welcome, Taria. I haven't been here in years, but I'm happy to see them still working through this time. A mare trots up and gives Shadow a hug.
You're alive!
Shadow smiled and gave the mare a hug. She's gold-colored. Good to see you, Golden Petal. She smiles at him and then trots off to look at me.
Oh, it's the wolf.
I facepawed, sighing.
Yes, I am the wolf. I'd rather just be known as Taria, a normal everyday creature that helps fight in the wasteland.
I gave them a pleading look to respect that. Of course, the mare chuckled and trotted off and stood on a box.
Presenting Shadow and his friend the wolf.
I facepawed hard. I don't want to be this well-known. Shadow placed his talons on my shoulder and smiled. You have to get used to the fact that even though you've done small things, you're still a hero in their eyes. This day and age, we need heroes. You can just ignore the fact that you've saved lives. You need to accept the fact that you are a hero. But the Lightbringer is bringing hope to small heroes like you that are doing the same. I gave him a look and sighed.
Introduce me to this friend of yours, and let's get this done with.
I'm feeling a bit out of it lately. I think because of all those mind games those wolves are doing to me lately. He nods and leads me to the leader of this little market. Sitting on a pillow was an old stallion with a long beard that sat there, and he opened his eyes.
Ah, I see you have returned, old friend.
Shadow nodded. Yes, Wheeltread's deal didn't last. He nodded.
Ah, yes, it was never meant to be. So what brings you here with her?
Shadow pushed me to help him with this. She and I are the leaders of our little town. We wish to start a trade caravan with you. The old stallion nodded.
Allow the wolf to speak, for she is the mountain, and you are the wind.
I blinked, wondering what he meant by that. But then I got to the point.
We wish to start a caravan trade in our little town, in the former POW camp that Wheeltread used to own. We mostly just need food, water, whiskey, whatever the bars need.
The stallion nodded.
Ah, yes. Also need food. It will be hard. The Enclave is everywhere here in the city. But I'm sure we could find a way. But I need you to do something first for me.
I sighed, thinking, of course.
There is a small mental hospital a day's walk from here. I need you to go there and see if you can find my daughter. She went there to find medical supplies.
I blinked.
How will we get there?
The stallion chuckles.
Follow the shit. The shit shall lead you there.
I blinked, looking to Shadow, and he laughs. Follow the sewers, Taria. My eyes went wide. The sewers? The place that held old bathroom crap of ponies? I sighed and looked down.
No, I meant follow the shit. There is a sewer grate outside, and follow it till you come to a large middle area, or a junction, they called it. There would be a sign leading you there.
I looked down and blinked a moment, looking to Shadow and giving him an angry look. Shadow just shrugged.
Don't be upset at him, child. I can tell he cares about you, and the fact that you might die in a year.
Shadow's eyes go wide, looking to me.
Come on, let's go.
I grabbed Shadow and heard the voice of the stallion.
You can't ignore it any longer, child. You need to tell him.
Shadow stayed silent for a moment, and the two of us opened the sewer grate before the Enclave saw us. We went down, and I sighed, as I knew he would ask what he meant about that. I could tell that Shadow wanted to speak to me before we fully went through the tunnels in the sewer. I stopped, turning to him. Taria, what did he mean by that? I looked down. I finally could tell him.
When the little one is born, I will die.
Shadow blinks and wraps a wing around me and just held me close. Taria, I'm not upset at you. I feel you need to tell Silver too. But we will need to accept that you want this little one, because she is the future, and you want the future to be happy for every pony. I gave a nod at that, and then we looked down the tunnels, hearing gunshots above.
I can't believe we have to be down here to keep the Enclave from getting us.
Shadow laughs softly and shrugs. We walked along the sewers, looking to the water and at how calm it was. I sighed a bit, closing my eyes, just a bit, and kept on moving. We followed the path to get us through the sewers. At some points, I covered my nose, and Shadow laughed.
Oh, funny. I have a high sense of smell. Would you like to smell the shit of every pony ever?
I stared at him. My anger was growing from being down here. Then, I stepped in something. I looked down. It was nasty.
Ew.
We just kept moving, and I closed my eyes, sighing. We got into the middle of the sewers, and then we noticed old buildings and bones that have been here for so long. I looked down to the bones, and I blinked.
These are rat creepers.
I looked down, seeing half of the settlement destroyed. Shadow shrugged. So? I looked to Shadow and gave him an I hate you look. Oh, but you love me. He winked at me, and I rolled my eyes, and we kept walking, following a path that seems to leave the little settlement. I closed my eyes and looked to Shadow, who is my first friend ever in this journey. The walls started to get that raider look. It called out to us, like, hey, it's evil ahead. I grabbed my pistol, and Shadow chuckled, watching me as I looked at him. Don't worry, I'm sure there's no raiders. A raider called out.
Hey, it's a griffin.
Shadow sighed and got behind the wall, grabbing his minigun. Fine, there are raiders down here. He turns from the wall, firing on them, as we basically try our best to get past them. I fire my pistol at them, and they keep ducking from Shadow's minigun as we got to the other side. I grabbed a metal apple and pulled the pin and tossed it at them. I heard them yell, and then a boom sounded. I saw body parts fly and smiled.
Are you hungry, Shadow?
Shadow looks to me with a smirk and nods. We get out of the hiding spot, and I grabbed any meat we could find, and we sat in the area we were both in and ate the meat from the charred remains.
Don't tell our friends that I enjoy eating pony.
Shadow laughs, nodding. It's good, yes. We calmly ate up what we could find and gathered the weapons we found, and Shadow placed them on his back as we kept moving. It started to pour down rain. I looked above us to see the Enclave walking on the grates, and we walked slowly. We knew this would take a day or so, but we probably would have to run if it got too bad down here. It started to rain harder. How lovely. We're in the sewers, and it started to get worse. Then we heard voices. Hey, I heard something down here. I mouthed,
Shit.
and looked around, finding a door and opened it, and pushed Shadow in and went in myself. I looked through the cracks, opening it just a bit, and saw it's the Enclave. I shushed Shadow and looked to see how many there are. I smirked, only seeing 2. I looked at him, and he nodded. I grabbed my weapon. He and I charged out and smashed our weapons against the heads of the Enclave soldiers. Then pulled them into the room. I wanted to kill them, but Shadow had to stop me, and I looked at him, growling.
Give me one reason why not.
I gave him a hateful look. They could have family. I looked at him with an angry look. Basically, my own way of saying I don't care.
Oh, they could have a family. Then they should know better. But I'll do it for you.
I grabbed one of them and smashed them hard into the wall, and then stomped on the other's back, breaking it.
There. They will have to find them.
Shadow blinks, staring at me, as I started moving again, and he followed me. My hate for the Enclave was becoming more seen, since I'm tired of being butt-fucked. He spoke softly to me and then stopped me, and then stared straight into my eyes. Taria, you need to relax your hate. It's unlike you. I stared at him with sadness in my eyes and nodded. As we were getting closer and closer to the hospital, we got to an old tunnel with a ladder leading up into a basement. We went up and found bodies of ghouls that seemed to be laying here for a long time. Shadow came up and blinked, looking around. Lovely. Now let's find this mare. I looked at Shadow.
Yeah, let's find her, so you can get back to Owlbeak.
I smirked at him, and Shadow just stared at me. Oh, come on. You would be like that too, if you wanted to breed with someone. I rolled my eyes.
Seriously, Shadow? If you weren't my best friend, I would kick your ass right now.
He smirks and laughs. Love you too. We laughed gently, and I turned the light on my pitbuck on, so we can see through the darkness. I noticed that the door to get out of the basement had been kicked in a long time ago. I looked around calmly, seeing a sign. Warning, warning, the insane are free. I blinked and looked around calmly. As the light shines on some of the ghouls, they looked up from one of them and started to speak.
We don't get many in here. Are you searching for something?
I looked at the ghouls. They seemed to be wearing worn-out doctor's coats.
We're searching for a mare that came in here about a day ago. I don't know how she looks.
The ghoul thinks a moment.
Oh, we did see a mare and warned her not to go deeper into the hospital. The crazies are locked behind a door, so if you go there, please clear them out for us.
I blinked, looking to Shadow. All this to trade.
If you do this, we will trade, if you wish. If you have a little town or an outpost, we can bring a caravan to you. Just do this for us.
I nodded and walked towards the sealed door. Shadow softly speaking. Have you ever felt that we normally don't speak, but have someone speaking for us? I stopped, looking towards him, and then towards no one at all, hushing him.
Let's just keep moving. You can have this crazy out-of-body experience later.
Shadow chuckles, and we go through the sealed door and make sure it reseals, and then we start to hear the crazy.
Yes, come closer, Daisy. Please, come closer. Give Grandpa a hug.
An old ghoul is sitting in a chair. He stares at us and keeps laughing. I took my gun and shot him. Another crazy, insane nut came out of the doors.
Ooh, we have someone crazier than us.
I looked to Shadow, and he lifted his minigun and started blasting all the crazies we saw like it was nothing. Of course, we didn't realize it was going to get worse. He stopped firing and then put the gun on his back, looking to me.
Shall we?
I smiled. Let's go then. Shadow nodded with a smirk. I used the light on my pitbuck to look through the darkness. Suddenly, lighting shines the entire area, and we are surrounded by a large light that comes on, and we see the mare chained and gagged. Then we see a large stallion clap his hooves together, with them on the side of the catwalk. He spoke in a deep voice. Look, children, look. More invaders. Shall we deal with them? Or shall we speak to them, my children? As our voices sing in this building,
Maybe they will hear us.
A group of them yells,
Kill them!
Another group yells,
Steal their water!
He lifts his hoof, and they go silent.
Ah, but the desert shall be our walk, the mare, the prize, the spice.
As he said, there were many more ponies taking a strange substance, and laughed and seemed crazy. He spoke again, lifting his hoof.
We are the children of those that came before us. We are the walkers, the speakers.
Hooves smashed on the catwalk over and over.
We are the real children of this world. Give it all to us.
I looked to Shadow, and I spoke out.
We have come for the mare. If you let us take her and let her go, we shall let the children of the real world stay here till your time comes,
I said with a calm voice. They all looked to me, and then to the mare. The stallion walked down the stairs.
You don't wish to harm us, then? Have you come to sing with the voices? Have you come to drink the water of those that came before you? Water from the bodies of the dead. The mare came here for the supplies of the past, the taint made by the past. All of that taint must be removed from this world.
He got down from the stairs. He seemed to have scars all over his body.
I can let her go. For a deal, child.
He looked to Shadow. And what's the deal? He asked calmly.
The deal.
He thought a moment and looked towards the outside.
When your child comes of age, tell them to come to me, and she will become my wife. Then we can move on from this place of pain and dread, and become one with the world.
I looked to Shadow, giving him a nod and whispering to him, Deal. The stallion smiles and goes back upstairs. Shadow goes to untie the mare and places something on the back of the pillar, setting it to go off in a minute. Thank you. We shall go. The stallion nods, and they started to cheer as Shadow and I started to run, carrying the mare with us. We got behind the sealed door, and then, boom. The ghoul looked at us and blinked.
You killed them all, didn't you?
I gave him a nod.
Then we shall do it.
Shadow placed the mare on his back, and we headed back down. But of course, that explosion made so much noise that we heard Enclave above us, so I closed the grate in the basement, and we ran back down the tunnel. We heard gunfire and screaming. Then we stopped, getting back into another door-like closet area. We leaned back and coughed.
Well, so much for that deal.
I laughed, as Shadow chuckled as well, and looked towards the mare. Let's get her back. I gave a nod, and we started walking again, and slowly going, so we didn't make any sounds. The mare started to wake up, as she blinks and smiles, nuzzling Shadow's back. Well, I figured I would see you again, Shadow, but like this? She chuckled softly. Hush. She nodded and stayed silent, relaxing on Shadow's back. It would take another day and a half to get back. She gets off of Shadow's back and calmly stays with us, and I looked over to her. What made those stallions kidnap you? She blushes gently. I was pretty, I guess? He wanted to turn me into his personal breeding stock, so he was going to try to brainwash me. Then he would use me as stock for his children of pureness, I guess. I looked to her and rolled my eyes, thinking, pure. Shadow nodded, and we found a raider tent to rest in. Even though the smell was bothersome, we rested anyway. I started a fire. I put the rest of the meat we took from the dead ponies, and I was given some food from Kip, offering it to the mare. She started to eat as Shadow and I ate the meat. I just sat there by myself as the mare slept after she ate, Shadow standing watch. Just watching above, seeing the Enclave walking over the sewer drains.
How did the world come to this?
I said softly, looking down. I closed my eyes and was feeling unsure again. But I had to be ready to fight in the name of honor. But it's hard, with how the ponies are. I looked down to the mare who was laying on a dirty mattress that had some weird stains on it. I heard more shooting above. The Enclave was doing so much to the ponies of Manhattan. I closed my eyes and started to fall asleep. Day 58. I opened my eyes and I was in a strange cell. I was alone. I looked around in strange cloud cells, sitting down, and I looked towards the Enclave soldiers. How did they find me? I didn't find Shadow or the mare anywhere. It's awake. I looked to an Enclave pony that came towards me. He was in a strange outfit. I stared at him with great anger in my eyes. I've heard of you. You're the one that murdered some of ours at our own POW camp. I just kept staring at him and stood up.
I will do it again, till every last one of you worthless so-called ponies are dead, so the world can finally heal without your filth,
I said with a large smirk on my face.
I would enjoy every moment of it too.
The stallion stared at me with shocked eyes, gulping a moment. Then he regained himself. The stallion stared at me with shocked eyes, gulping a moment. Then he regained himself. We will deal with you soon. I sat back down and watched him walk away. I'm not kidding for what I said. I closed my eyes, feeling that I have failed. Why am I caged? I started to feel the wolf side of me getting very angry. Why am I caged? I howled deeply and started attacking the cage. It shocked me, but I didn't stop attacking it as my paws burned from the charge. I calmed down as I watched them. What were they going to do to me? And then I had a spike of pain in my back from a stick. I howled and stared at the one who did it, and they did it again and kept hitting me with the sticks, laughing. I grabbed one of them with my mouth and bit it in half.
Keep it up. When I get out of here, you will all be dead.
My hate for them growing as I stared at them. They kept looking at me. I groaned as the pain was getting worse. But after a while, they stopped as I laid there in pain. I groaned, and it was getting late, as I've been here mostly all day. I noticed a pony coming over and letting me out and whispered to me, "Here." He gives me my bag and weapons. "Get out of here." I stared at him.
Why are you helping me?
I didn't sign up for this, but you need to beat me close to death to make it look good. I nodded, smashing him into the ground and breaking both of his wings.
Good luck, sir. If I see you again, I will kill you.
I picked him up and then tossed him into the cage, locking him in it and sneaking away slowly. I wish I did kill him, but I wouldn't be in the right to do so now. I need to find Shadow and that mare. I made my way back into the market, and Shadow was talking with a map on getting me out. Slowly, I came up and leaned into Shadow.
What did I miss?
Shadow turned to look at me, and then back at the map, and then jumped, his eyes going wide. Wait, how did you get out? I smirked.
Let's just say I talked them into it. But truthfully, one of them let me out, and I almost killed him to make it look good. Did you get the mare back to her father?
He nodded. She left you behind, saying you would be fine. I sighed softly and headed outside to sit and watch. I sat outside the building near the door. I looked up to the sky, seeing the Pegasi, and Shadow comes out and sat beside me. You're upset, aren't you, Taria? My eyes turned to him in a glare, nodding.
Look at all of those ponies, trying to bring a so-called peace with propaganda and half-truths. How will ponies take their presents? Also, apparently they knew me. They said, So you're the one who murdered a bunch of our troops. I said I will kill more of you, just to cleanse the world of their uselessness.
Shadow stared at me. He was worried at how I have been acting. Taria, you have become very angry. And if you keep this up, the waste would have beaten you, turning you into what you are fighting. I blinked, remembering the golem in the back of my mind. The golem using me as a puppet. I looked to Shadow and smiled gently.
I promise you, Shadow, I will try harder.
Shadow gave me a nod, and one of the ponies from the market came out. He wants to speak to you two. Shadow nods as we both went back inside to talk to the leader.
Ah, yes, you have returned. Now, you wished for a trade agreement? I say we agree. It won't be easy with the Enclave, but we will do it. Now take some food and water back with you. We will fill your bags.
I nodded, and we both set our bags down, watching them fill our bags. I sighed softly, closing my eyes, relaxing, and then picking my bags up, as well as Shadow.
Thank you, sir.
He nodded, and we walked out. I looked to Shadow.
Now, how are we going to get out of here?
I looked to Shadow, and he chuckled. Well, how about the way we came in? Walking. I gave him a nasty look and sighed as we started to walk back out of the city. Anyway, Taria, what do you call a griffin that runs? I looked at him, blinking. Alive! Run! He started running as I looked up, seeing Enclave chasing after us and firing on us, and we got into a building to hide from them. Of course, the building was missing some of its walls.
Walk out, you said.
Shadow hushes me as we sneak back out and start to slowly try to get out of the city. It's not going to be easy from what I see here. We stayed silent as I sighed, closing my eyes, and hoped that we get back soon so I can get some rest. It took us an hour or so to finally get back to the outskirts of Manhattan. We saw Misty Moon Apartments on fire and burning down. Seeing the words "Friends" on the sign falling down, I blinked.
Shadow, take my bags.
Shadow blinks as I gave him my bags and I grabbed my gun.
Get going. I will be there. I got something to do.
I walked back into Manhattan, hoping that the building was still standing. I calmly walked to the old Pinkie Pie puppet factory. I slowly walked inside the building, remembering when I first walked in here with my friends and getting captured by the puppets. I slowly walked through the halls. I didn't wish to be here, but I had to make a deal. A deal who some would call a devil. Maybe this will help the ponies of Manhattan, maybe it won't. But I can't let the Enclave stay in here so easily. They will find their way here after I do this. I found my way to the old shut-down computer. I started clicking the buttons, and it started powering up after a while, and the puppets came back to life and stood up, crawling to me. The Pinky head came back on the screen, staring at me.
How dared you come back? How?
I aimed my gun at the screen, turning to the puppets.
Back off, or I shall blow up your god that is letting you live.
All the puppets stopped, and I stared back at the computer.
I have a deal to offer you, if you remove your old Ministry of Morale programming.
I waited for the thinking computer, staring contently at it, and the puppets who looked so much like Pinkie Pie, and looked back to the computer.
What deal?
I softly spoke, keeping my anger back.
The Enclave. I want you to take your puppets to them and slow them down here in the city. I know you won't last long, but you have to do something from harming the ponies in this city. The deal? No stealing children, no killing the innocent ponies. When this deal is over, you stay here and never show yourselves in the day or night again.
The computer stares at me, thinking. I could tell it was thinking. I'm making a deal with the evil of the past, created to be evil, and to force parents to lie to their children.
It's a deal. Besides, I don't foresee this building standing after they learn that the puppets come from here. Go.
before I change my mind.
I nodded, heading out, watching the puppets head outside all beside me. What have I done? Did I do the right thing? Was it a trade of a life for a life? The need of many type thing? I sighed. I felt that my heart was not sure, but I had to do this. I don't see them lasting, but it will give those still getting out of here time to run. I stayed in the doorway, fighting with myself, looking towards the gun, having a fight within my heart. I went back inside and stood in an empty room. Setting the gun down, I started talking to myself.
What's the choice? What's the idea? Why did I do this? Have I joined the devil in the heart of evil? Have I allowed the golem to beat me?
I paced around, calmly talking, feeling
I could destroy this gun.
I lifted up the zebra pistol.
But honor. Can I die in the moment of honor while I just stand there, watching the world around me burn? Do I deserve this?
I breathed deeply, feeling anger growing.
I should kill all the Enclave. I should become one to end my life, taking them down.
I held my brain and tossed the gun to the floor.
The music is shrilling. The song is singing. Why is the tongue shrilling music calling me? Oh, the idea of making this deal. What have I done? Is there blood on my paws?
I walked around and grabbed the gun and put it to my head.
I should do it.
Shadow walked in and gasped. Turia, drop the gun. I turned to Shadow. I had the gun to my head, shaking.
The pain in my heart. I can't take it anymore, Shadow. The birds that sings in my heart. I have to save those from me. I am a monster. I am not one of honor. I feel the wasteland is controlling me.
I looked behind me to see the golem again, using me as a puppet, making me speak in my mind.
I must do what it said. It said this to me.
Tears formed in my eyes. Shadow walked closer. It's not real. Don't allow this world to crush your spirit after 2 months. Don't allow it to beat you. You have done so much good. I looked at my paws, seeing the blood.
I have so much blood on my paws. Do I deserve this?
Shadow hits the gun out of my paw and forces me to the ground as he stared at me, with tears in his eyes, and holding me down. Don't do this to yourself. I'm already going to lose you in a year. We can't lose you now. Please, Turia. Think about how we would feel. Think about us. Think about your friends. You need to fight this, Turia. You can't just lose it now. You need to not change from your path. I started to sob and wrapped around Shadow as I felt my broken heart breaking more, holding on to my friend, and he got off me and let me cry. Broken, you could say. Shattered, one would say. Weak, another would say. Some don't understand what the waste can do to a creature like me. I don't get why this hurt me so much. I think making the deal with the devil was something my heart couldn't take. I had to be stronger for my friends. But that crashed down very hard in my heart. It's gotten to the point that broke souls are normal in this world. If those that saw me now, would they look at me saying, am I weak? Am I right to have done this deal with the devil? Journal entry, Kipkipe.
I am worried about her. She hasn't been the same, but she is keeping her heart open to us. She knows what is going to happen, but she came clean to the rest of us. Silver is not taking it well. Oh, I can say that easy. But we have her for a year.
We need to give her the love she deserves till the goddess takes her from us. I love her so much as my sister and my friend. So many of us do. I wish she would let us help her. But I feel she thinks she needs to do this on her own. If she didn't, then she would be lost. But she spends so much time with that little filly starshooter. I think she's trying to make up for the time she won't have for her pup. I hope she will listen to me when the time is finally right. I can't believe she almost did that. Does she think about us at all? Am I being too harsh on her? She loves us, but we can't let her just fall like this. She needs to be strong for the town. They can't just see her fall after all this. She made a deal with the devil, she told me. Why would she make a deal with the devil in that silly puppet factory? But hopefully, we never have to make a deal with those puppets again. But I have her now eating dinner with her and Kip, and she is calm and happy, back to herself. I think her rage controls her sometimes. Journal entry, Silver Gunner. I wish they could see my anger and how upset I am. Why didn't she tell us till now? I already lost so many friends in the past. I even lost seeing Equestria in the time friends that could be made without a gun at our heads. I will miss her when the time comes, but for now, I am going to be there with her when she needs us. Shadow was holding me tightly as I sobbed and felt the pain releasing from my heart from the good cry. I heard shooting outside. Come, we need to go. I stood up and grabbed my gun, and we made it outside, seeing the Enclave screaming, running away from the crazed puppets that are holding giant knives. I looked to Shadow, and we walked away from the building, and knowing that those puppets won't be around in the future, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Same day, middle of the waste. After a few minutes of running, I saw Manhattan a little farther away from us. I sighed and looked to him.
Sorry, Shadow. I don't know why I got that way.
Shadow stopped me and wrapped his wings around me, tears falling down his face and from his beak. Don't do that again. Turia, if you need to talk to some pony or someone, you talk to me, Kip, or Fleur, or even Silver. You aren't alone in this. I sighed, and we started walking along the path to get back to our home. I looked down, feeling that I'm broken, but I'll probably get over it soon. Even though I made a deal with the devil to help those in Manhattan to stop the Enclave for at least a few hours or so, I felt now that I did the right thing. After a few hours of walking, we finally made it back to our home, and we set down our bags, and ponies come in to look through the bags, finding the food. The gardeners take the seeds they find and then go to plant them. I sighed and looked at the ponies, and Fleur nuzzled my neck.
Fleur?
She could tell I was crying.
Turia, what happened?
I looked to Silver, Kip, and Shadow.
Come with me.
I led them to my home and sat there on my bed.
As most of you know, when I give birth, I am going to die.
Silver stares at me. I couldn't tell if he was upset or surprised. You tell us this now? Silver said softly, and Kip patted his back.
But I almost shot myself earlier. I need you to help me through this.
Fleur nodded. So did the others.
My cruise ship is almost fully in the cave, so we can start building in the old area of their former inn.
I gave a nod and sighed.
I need to tell Sand.
They nodded, and I went to go find him. He is guarding the gate with Bulwark. As I got on the gate and leaned on Sand, he looked at me and sighed. Bulwark watched the 2 of us with a smile on her face.
I need you, Sand. I am going to die when our little one is born. I need you till then.
Sand looked at me, his eyes wide in surprise. I understand. I will do what I can. I promise you, I will be there for the little one. I smiled softly, my eyes red from crying. I looked from the gate to watch the waste, as it seems to be the golem again in my mind, trying to tug me with the puppet strings. But I refuse for the moment, closing my eyes and seeing peace again.
Thank you, goddess.